Hello, everyone. I'm so extremely delighted to launch our Be Kind to Your Mind initiative today through our Break the Taboo panel discussion. You must have already seen a video from Rana yesterday, and as rightly he said, while as an organization we cannot completely eradicate the taboo that surrounds mental wellness. But of course, as an organization, we can create a conducive environment where we can openly talk about it, we can create an awareness, and definitely take a step and show that we understand and we care. So, through this initiative, we want to talk about various aspects of mental wellness and address various challenges one can face, which is just not limited to work or financial stress, but can also be related to their ethnicity, peer pressure, sexual orientation, etc., etc. So, without wasting time, before I start, I want to just introduce our esteemed panelists for today's discussion. Manas Lahiri, who is the managing director of Havas Worldwide. Vandana Tilwani, CHRO for Havas Group India. Sameer Tobaccowala, CEO for Showbiz, and Deepali Saini, who is the founder and design director for Think Design. So thank you all for accepting this invitation and taking time from your busy schedule and being part of this leadership pledge that we are looking forward, where we can try our best to eliminate the stigma that's around the mental wellness. Thanks once again.
Thank
Without without delaying, Vandana, my first question is to you, Vandana, and maybe the most obvious one. uh, can you share how Be Kind to Your Mind is different from any other employee wellness program that exists in our organization or anywhere else?
So thanks, Lindsay. It's definitely a different program. I think simply due to the way it's going to be, implemented. It's not like an app-based wellness product with access to gyms, spa memberships, fitness clubs, and so on. The focus of this program is largely mental health, especially in the last 2 years. I think a lot of us have realized the importance, and there's been so much discussion around the area of mental health, um, and that's why this program focuses on that. And our objective is to encourage dialogue and maybe even an acceptance to this reality, because this is a subject that tends to get neglected or brushed under the carpet. I think a lot of people don't really want to come out and talk about it. So through this program, we want to, make sure that more and more discussions like these, are happening, are taking place. So we can, to some extent, help break the taboo around it, make people comfortable to talk about it. So in that sense, it's definitely, different. And that's why the name Be Kind to Your Mind, because it's largely around your mind and your mental wellness.
Yeah. So can you also maybe just give us a little bit preview of what can we look forward for this initiative in the coming months?
Um, I think what we will do is through the year, every month we will pick up a theme. So for example, maybe once it could be about obesity perhaps, or it could be about addiction, or it could be something else. And any taboo or any discomfort around that. So we'll have a calendar based on that theme. We will initiate similar discussions. Maybe we'll have talks, maybe we'll have some tips and tools that we can share with people on how to deal with some of these issues. So we'll have a year-long calendar starting this month. And then plus the best part is we also have a lot of support from the global team. This is a global program. We also have access to a lot of material, which is through the global support, which we can kind of use and share with our employees. So stay tuned. A lot of interesting discussions and themes and topics coming up.
Lovely. That's exciting. While one of the things that we often hear, and even in my introduction, and even Vandana said the word stigma or the taboo that's related or associated to this whole subject. Deepali, would you be able to, maybe share with us, like, why do you think that there is so much of stigma associated with this phrase mental wellness?
Yeah, sure. See, the thing is, stigma by nature means negative attitude towards something, right? And it's very deep rooted. This stigma, this prejudice for mental illness, and it's part of almost culture and our languaging. I mean, for example, if we talk, say my I've got a teen daughter. So if she wants to say somebody's a bad guy, she'll say he's a psycho. A psycho is not equal to a bad guy. Or calling somebody she's crazy. Crazy is not a villain, right? So our languaging is like that. If we look at our media also, lots of times the baddie or the villain in the Bollywood movie is shown as somebody with mental illness. So this has created a lot of stigma in our society. A lot of it is at a social level. It is also at a personal level where people possibly feel shamed if they're aware they have a mental illness, but that internal shame is something that prevents them from speaking out, seeking help, and therefore improving. So these deep rooted stigma that come from society, individuals, also families, actually, from just a lack of understanding, right? That is there. And I think programs like this, we push the needle by talking about it, by speaking about it. So the first thing is actually to work at removing the stigma and then moving forward to what could be improved for people who are facing it, who are living with it.
Correct. So at some level, knowingly, unknowingly, we also use certain terms or certain, verbiages that kind of mean something else and
Something
is,
else and
more than what is required in that context. Am
yes,
I right from what you were saying, Deepali?
yeah.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. That's definitely a good insight. Uh, and while the rollout of mental wellness program or Be Kind to Your Mind was happening, we started this whole launch by saying as a leadership pledge. So that's why Vindrana spoke about it. And today, as a panelist, we invited you as because you're leaders in your own domain. And so for that respect, Manas, I would like to ask you a question: that why do you think that there is this need to have a focused approach towards mental health as a corporate, considering that we have already done so many initiatives, and there are so many initiatives in employee wellness as well.
No, I think yeah, it's a relevant question that what do we prioritize, right? And in which of the prioritizing order do we keep mental health? Now, let me tell you something. 15 years back, even basic hygiene issues like am I giving a good working environment to my employees? These were not thought about because we were supposed to come into an office, do our jobs, and get away with our salaries. Times have changed. I think all of us have seen that we spend around 15, 16, anything between 12 to 15 hours in an office, which basically becomes our home, if not the first home, if at least the second home. Now, much of these issues were taken as granted that we will give you a working space, we'll give you X, and you do that. Now we have left those long back, as specifically in our industry, while we do a lot of things taking care of the employees, whether it is providing them a safe and workable ecosystem, people around them who they can work with, what are the kind of infra we were providing them to ensure that they are comfortable in their workplace, logistics and sorts, healthcare and all. But coming to our specific industry, if I talk about our industry, what is the biggest asset that we have? It is human being, right? We are
Correct.
not a manufacturing unit with an assembly line that can be fixed to an engineer can come and fix it. It is all up here and here. Specifically, I talk about advertising, right? And if I cannot ensure that a person in my office is at least his or her mental health is okay, then what is the result of the mental health? A result of the mental health is a person is happy fundamentally as a human being. Now, when he get home, he is happy as a son, a brother, a father, a husband. When he comes to office, he is happy to be back in this workplace. He is happy to meet his colleagues, and the end output is that he is really enjoying what he is doing. Now, these are really not tangible things. How do you define these things are very difficult. But obviously today, with mental science developing so much, there are various ways of evaluating these things, and we are seeing some serious steps on ascertaining whether mental health, happiness, these things exist in people. I think some of the things that companies or corporates are taken as should be taken as hygienes. Are you giving a proper workplace? We are supposed to give a proper workplace. That's, we are not doing anybody any favor. Are we taking care of their daily needs, logistic, infra? We are supposed to do that. They are coming into a workplace where they're spending. But I think foremost of it is that person happy at his mind or his heart, that we are expecting that kind of output from him or her. Because remember, that person also has to go back home and do his set of communication back at home, whether with his kids or with his parents or with his or her partner. And how does he or she do that if fundamentally that person is not happy? So as a responsible corporate, which I believe we are, we should seriously think about it. It's a great start, and we should have programs like these being rolled out and monitor them periodically to ascertain whether people are happy or not. So I seriously think that this is a great step forward from an overall holistic employee well-being.
Thank you so much, Manas. And I think that if leaders like you are so passionate about this, implementation of such initiatives and actually taking it to a notch higher would be that much easier for us as an organization. Something you said was related to my next question that I really wanted to ask to Sameer, about the way the work culture was, years back. And, Sameer, I wanted to ask you, like, you were part of corporate world when mental health wasn't even considered as an aspect that requires focus, and I'm sure that you may have faced so many personal challenges or mental pressure that way, while you were steering your way through the business, and you must have dealt it in your own way, because at that time, all of these fundas or jazz that we say is was not being used. So today, now that you look back, and today now so many avenues are there, and we are talking these kind of languages, what is your advice to the younger you regarding handling similar pressures?
One is that you really make me sound old with this thing of what happened way back, but
I
yeah,
knew
no.
Sameer was going to say that.
I had a feeling
No, but
too
it's true.
when I
It's true.
took the plunge.
No. I think it's. I think everybody covered this a little bit, but the fact that it's. I'm. Mana said 15 years back. I am going 32 years back into this thing. But the truth of the matter is that forget about the infrastructure. There was no concept of HR. I mean, today there's even that was not there for many years. It was काम दे दिया तो काम करो. I mean, इसमें I'm not here to look after your anything. Literally, it's not. It The work environment improvement also happened many years later. Because before that, though, there were 4 people sitting on a desk and getting it done, and whatever needed to happen, घर पे offices चलते थे. It was a very different environment, and I think one of the common things, Lindsay, I think very important, and that played a part in many ups and downs in all our lives, even in my lives, was I think communication was a very important part. You see, it is the question being able to talk to somebody. I think that makes a huge difference on how it happens, and that continues, according to me, to be the core of anything, that everything should happen. The mental health or any kind of ups and downs in your mind regarding multiple things that happen for everybody, right? I mean, it's not just now because there's COVID or this now there's this. Everybody has these ups and downs. In a day, you go through hundreds of emotional thought processes. I think being able to have conversations with friends, peers, bosses, people who work for you, people who work under you, people who work above you, family, any of that thing becomes a very important aspect of it. So I think what is the most important thing I truly believe is the fact that have solid communication windows open. And if an organization is set up in a way that anybody can talk to anybody, It's got nothing to do with work related. Just being able to talk to anybody about my dog is not well, or my something, my child's education is a problem, or the fact that I'm overworked, or the fact that I'm underused, or whatever the case may be. I think that makes a huge difference. So I think building an organization firstly, a network firstly, which helps people to be able to say what is in their hearts and minds, uh, changes the entire game. And I think naturally our people who work for us will be able to understand that they can talk it out. And once you talk it out, it makes a huge difference, because like it's always said, andar rakhoge to it's going to come out in a worse manner. If you can say it out, you can say to anybody you want, makes a huge difference. So I say communication, for the old me, the young me, and the future me, and for everybody else. I think it's very, very important to be able to have that with anybody and everybody.
Correct. I completely agree, and I think communication is one of the key aspect here for Be Kind to Your Mind initiative as well, where we are working towards opening avenues and platforms where we can just talk about it and make people just aware that it's not something that's rare, or there's no problem in you. It's something
And it
that
doesn't have to be with a professional. As I said, as long as you can have a conversation with with anybody, I think it changes the way you feel. I mean, you go home and you talk to your child and be open about it. It changes everything. So I think that makes a huge difference. And in organizations, we should have that. We should bring that out to people who are in there, that talking it out is the best way, and it's very possible to do in your company.
correct. Thank you so much for that, Sameer. My next question is also something on the similar lines, and I want Manas and Deepali, if you can just share your views on this. Do you think that when it comes to mental health, it's look different when it comes to gender? Do you think that it is difficult for men to really open up and talk about the mental health aspect, and it's very easy for a female to, or does it differ from gender basis? Either of you can start.
No, so I mean, since the question is about how is it difficult for men to speak about it? I think all men have preconceived notion that we handle things better. I think it's absolutely rubbish. I think, as Sameer spoke about it, we all need help. If there is what happens, whether it is men or women, at times we look at each other and say that he or she is already doing so much, so why do I burden the other partner with additional things? Let me just deal it with myself. And there are various ways. Somebody smokes, somebody drinks, somebody does something else, somebody pushes himself or herself at the gym, but that's not going to solve. I mean, at the end of the day, like any other problem, you deal it head on. Yeah, I mean, first be honest about it, that you have a problem, and you need to speak about it to somebody. And believe me, nobody can be more compassionate than your partner. And that's the first person you should open up and talk, that look, I am passing through, how do I handle this? Or the most trusted person that you feel that can help you. For me, it is always my wife, right? For somebody, it can be their parents. Somebody, it can be their colleagues. But talking is important, and no, men do not handle it any better. I think, to my mind, if you ask me, I think if you look at the width of things that a woman handle throughout the day, we don't handle half of it. We all sweat out and say, oh, आज तो office में बहुत काम किया, and the kids are shouting at home. I already feel tired, and let me resort to something else and entertain myself. I'm sorry, my wife does not have that option. So if she has a problem, who do she go and talk to? The time that we get over a dinner, or early morning coffee, are times when we should discuss about things, because these are issues. And look how our lives have changed over the period of time. We are more indoors than outdoors. We don't get to go outside. We are way more in our own homes, in our own offices, if not. And the ability to go out and walk in the open air is also not that high. So talking is the only way you can resolve things. So that's what I know. And to you, Dipali.
No, I totally agree, Manas. And the fact is that it doesn't matter as as per the gender, but an individual, for them to be first self-aware that there is a need, and second, reach out for help and talk about it, is that takes precedence over everything else. By nature, yes, possibly women may internalize stress or depression more, withdraw, and men may externalize and act out, right? But those are different reactions. That doesn't take away from the fact that both of them need help. And Lindsay, to your question, that do men find it more difficult to share? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe it's as per the individual, not as per gender. It's also the messaging we have since childhood. Men are taught that boys don't cry, girls are taught that compromise, adjust. So the question is, do we want to get into those debates, or do we want to focus on the fact that how do we remove the stigmas and how do we help each other and all our colleagues, whoever may be going through this, irrespective of gender?
Right, right. And it's okay. It can happen to anyone, and it's natural, irrespective of whether you're a woman or a man. Great. Thank you so much for that. So while we are saying, about leadership pledge, and that's why you are here and you're sharing your perspective, I just wanted to, understand, maybe Vandana and Sameer, you guys can, pitch in here, that you guys are, heading businesses, heading teams, and heading domains. As a leader, is mental health, mental wellness always on top of your mind when you are dealing with your employees, your team members?
Honestly, I would say I'm learning to, consciously now be mindful of an employee's state of mind while I interact with them. I have to admit that I don't think we are naturally tuned to focus on that. We tend to focus on the issues more because that is what we can see and understand easily. Mental issues are not easily detected at a superficial level. So one really has to train their eyes, ears, all senses to pick up these things, through awareness, through empathy, through an open mind, whatever you say. But honestly, it's not something that all of us are naturally, trained to pick up. So one has to consciously, and I today when I talk to people, I make an effort to see what is beyond those words, that people are actually speaking, because there is so much more there.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's one of the toughest things to pick up. I think we know of multiple people, you can have a family member who's depressed and you may not know about it because the outward projection of that thing is very different. So people do project very differently from the way they feel, and in conversations where you're not really having long conversations with the hundreds of people that work for you. So it is very difficult to pick up those nuances amongst people. I think what you can do is have those open conversations. Make sure that you have. The truth of the matter is that you're talking work 90% of the time with anybody you're working with, right? The cup of tea or the stuff is a very short break amongst the daily work pressures, the work, and especially in agencies that we work with, the deadlines are there, this is there, the client is always wanting something yesterday, and you have to go through that process. So I think it's very difficult to pick it up, but I think it's very important that not just leadership, but everybody in the organization needs to keep that kind of open mind about seeing what could be wrong. If there's a continuous, things that's off with somebody, it's important for even colleagues, even people they're working with, to kind of pick that up and see what is happening. So it's not just the responsibility of the leaders to do this. I think everybody should be looking at everybody with a little bit open mind and saying they could be going through something more than we are seeing. And if that is the case, how we can help that person.
Vandana,
Yeah, I just wanted to add, because when Sameer was talking, obviously, when you're talking to people, I mean, there are ways that you sometimes pick up, right? I mean, if you see the person's body language, you see if somebody is perhaps perhaps not as attentive, there is the tone that has changed, or there is the energy levels that have dropped. I think, of course, those are signs that help you pick up, and uh, and I think most of the times we pick it up and we do ask. Perhaps but the thing is that are we making the effort to get into a little more detail, because somebody says no, it's fine, I'm fine, and there are
Just a
chances
bad
are,
day. Yeah,
yeah,
just a
it's a
bad
bad
day.
day, and you
Yeah.
say it's okay, but perhaps there is so much more than that person is not saying and maybe doesn't want to talk about. But I think there are signs that we pick up every day in people, in their behaviors, their energies, and I think that itself is a big sign. You can pick it up.
And I think colleagues are the best to pick that up, because that they are working with those people the most, right? The 5 people in a team, 5 people on an account, are working together the most, and they will see the changes faster than somebody else from the outside will. And I think that's what we should also try to take our messaging out, Lindsay, is not just 10, 15, 20 people trying to find out if there's a this, but anybody sees that kind of thing should bring it forward to us and say, I'm seeing something off. Why don't you talk to somebody?
Yeah, right. I mean, it's just not limited to a leader, but I think anyone and everyone, as who interacts with their colleagues or with anyone for that matter, not just restricted to workplace, would have a certain responsibility, right, to
Yep.
kind of give that space to a person. Correct. On similar lines, Deepali, what can a leader do to send out message to their teams or colleagues, telling them that, hey, that I'm listening. If you're willing to talk, I'm there. What can we as a leader do to send out that message to people?
To Sameer's point, that if you've got team of say 100 plus more people, so how is it that as a leader, right, that message goes out? So I think it has to be throughout the organization, this messaging, of course, and that messaging can't be just lip service. If you authentically mean it and you seem approachable enough, probably vulnerable enough on your own, that somebody else can share their vulnerability or what they're going through, that would be very important. And that would be one of the first most critical things, that it's just not a mailer sent, it's not just a program, but the leaders themselves get hands down to it, talking to people, and not just one leader but colleagues talking to each other. If it becomes part of the culture, that openness, that transparency, a safe space, it can do wonders. It can be so powerful. Again, to what Sameer said, that probably the signs can be picked up most by maybe not your manager's manager, but your colleague with whom you're spending 6 hours a day, 7 hours a day on an account, right? And if they know that they're not going to be judged, there's a safe space. Everybody, the leaders are talking the same language. There's an openness to it. Right. And there are, of course, platforms like this. There are the group is open to it, and there's so much effort, genuine effort being done. I think that's a wonderful first step that we take as leaders.
So it would be okay, right, for us to ask. It wouldn't be a barging into a personal space, right? It's okay. It comes out of a place of
I think those
concern.
sensitivities, Lindsay, sorry to interrupt, most of us will have that, where we say that asking, are you okay? And then going beyond that, but knowing that, where you don't push further, because to keep the person comfortable. But if over a period of time, and it's not something that may work, miracles overnight, but it may lead to small sparks, small changes. And over a period of time, folks who may be more withdrawn may see by examples others talking about it, reaching out, some changes happening, and they may also open up over a period of time. The first step itself is a big one.
Right. So, we while we spoke a lot about leaders' responsibility, what leader can do, etc., and how leader can reach out to people. It's not a hidden fact that if there's someone who goes to a higher pressure, it is the leader, right? And you have your own deliverables, you have your own numbers, you have your own targets, you have to do things at a larger scale. So obviously the kind of pressure that you guys are handling is also immense, right? And so to all of you, Vandana, Sameer, Manas, Dipali, how do you stay mentally sound or balanced? If you can share some tips with everyone who's listening, how can we learn from you?
And I mean, look, my way of, if I were to share anything, I keep walking throughout the floor the entire day, right? I'm not a person who loves sitting inside my room. I mean, and what it does to me is that I just go into somebody's place, probably sit and, hey, can I share your food, or what kind of music you're listening to? And if I observe somebody, in a conversation which is very uncommon of him or her to do, I just quietly pass by, and then at a convenient time in the cafeteria I'll say, hey, everything all right? Yeah, it's okay, you don't behave like that. So as Dipali said, that we have a top level view of everybody. We know we work individually with all of them, and the best way to find out is just be out there. Spend more time as leaders, not inside the room but outside in the open spaces. Break the cadence, go out, speak to them, sit with them. It's not difficult to find out. We don't live in those 20 50-year-old British buildings where there were chambers for cabins for everybody. I think it's an open work environment. People love to talk. If you want to talk, really have the intent to talk, and they love people who really go out and talk. So just spend more time out there. Make sure that you don't have your lunch or cup of tea inside the room. Just go and sit in the cafeteria, because that's where they are at a mental space to talk more, or an evening tea. That's the only way that yes, I mean, I would be a little partial to say that I also take care of the my second rank leaders who actually go through the most of the stress, right? Because which I don't face. They filter it and send it back to me. So for me, they are the people probably facing the most of the heat coming from external people, and I make sure that I talk to them regularly. I monitor them every day, and if there is anything, as Vandana said, if there is any deviation in their normalcy, I would immediately pick up a phone and say, if everything is okay. It's all about reaching out. It's all about spending more time outside. It's all about knowing your people. And you look, it's 100, 150, 200. If you want, you can individually know all of them. It's not difficult in today's world, right? That's my way.
What about yours personally, Manas? How do you remain balanced? What do you do to ensure that this pressure doesn't get in your head? Like, or how do you do it for yourself?
Well, first of all, if I have an issue which I really want to talk about, I immediately share it with my wife, because she knows my character, and she would, you know, she deals with me every day. She One of her major things are also to deal with me, so she would know that where I can go wrong, and it is the tipping point of where I will go wrong, and she is the first person to really guide me through that. And then I have colleagues and friends who I have known for a long time. They are of a great help, because they know if I am shouting, Manas is shouting, there is something is bad. I mean, I don't really get angry or shout. So the other way is that over a period of time, when I started on my professional career, I started actually assigning some time very, very early in the morning to myself, right? And this has immensely helped me, whether it is yoga, whether it is pranayam, or whether it is just a clean walk early morning, where I just sit and think that how to manage myself better, how to manage issues or related to stress better. Just give that time to yourself. It is very, very important in your work life and personal life balance, that you always think about how to perform at work. You always think about whether I'm making my family happy, but you can only do that if you are happy, and you introspect that where am I going wrong. So it has really helped me that I actually put aside that time in the morning which I can focus on myself and say that hey, I should be more, doing this and not that. So these are few things which I guess is regular with everybody.
Very nice. So communicate, talk about it, and your me time.
Yes,
Very
yes.
nice. Everyone.
I'm just very concerned about Manas's wife. Everything she has to listen to.
And also not to forget about the dogs and the kids and everything.
Even they have to listen to me. Sorry, they.
Yes, well, Sameer.
Yeah,
Are you?
I think yes. I think Manas really covered what all of us really do. Our spouse is very very important. I know I've been married to Sheeta for 27 years now. I know her for 10 years before that. So she's still I speak to her 8-10 times a day anywhere in the world I am. Many a time she puts down the phone without talking to me because they stop calling me up. But I still call her up back, and she knows if the calls are coming too often, then she really needs to find time because something is dramatically wrong. But yeah, I think they do pick up your. Again, that's what I said. I think somebody close to you picks up your moods faster than anybody else does. Um, and like the house, home Sheetal wife. I've got a work wife with Tejpal around. He's been with me for 25 years, and he is the biggest filter I have when it comes to work pressure. Again, you just need to find that thing of somebody who can, pick up your bad moods, your something that's kind of ticking you off. We in the last 24 months went through the worst times of ever as an agency. And all my ups and downs of moods couldn't be put out to 250 people. It's just difficult to kind of, you have to be their support life. You can't be showing, you show your vulnerability when it's there, but your vulnerability is always more than what goes out. But you need people, your team, your leadership team, who are there with you all the time, who you can kind of, always speak to. And yeah, and I'm also a big golf fan, so I do that a lot. I play golf on the weekends, which is a good 4 hours walk in greenery, without phones most of the time. So that kind of helps the process too, on a Sunday morning, to kind of get out there, find time for yourself. I think it's that part of life that, again, it's very difficult for youngsters to understand that. And it's always, you need to be busy all the time, and we all went through the same process, right? I mean, I tell my kids about golf, and they're like, 4 hours of walking. Are you know how much I can do in those 4 hours? And you kind of start picking up things, and you start learning this through the process. So nobody needs to hurry this. I think it's a natural process on how you kind of find time for work, you find time for family, and touch wood, I think, you reach a stage of life where you start finding time for yourself. You will not find, every 20-year-old will never find time for themselves. They have a social life which is much bigger than, some of us who are graying a little bit now, Manas included in that. And it's true. I think that's the process. I think we go through that thing, but we've all gone through it. I think we've all gone through the tough times, but it's easy. It's part of life to come through that.
First of all, what makes you think I'm mentally sound? I mean, if that's what you think, if that's the impression I'm giving people, it's good, because in my role, I think it helps. But honestly, like Sameer said, it's a journey, right? I mean, you get to a certain stage of balance, and this whole mental. It's a journey. It's not something that, I don't think I would have felt like that at the age of 20. But for me, it's a lot of things. It's yoga, it's meditation. Like, I do yoga every morning. I work out thrice a week. I'm meditating at least once a week. I'm very disciplined, and I try to do my best to stick to my schedules, because if my schedule goes for a toss, then there is complete imbalance in my life. So I'm somebody who likes to stick to my schedules. I think I understand the importance of a healthy body, in order to stay happy and energetic. And I cannot overemphasize the importance of sleep in your overall well-being. I think sleeping for me is very important. It helps me stay, like, if I don't sleep well, if I don't eat on time, like I'm like the person that you don't want to be with. So these things that I do to kind of stay a little more balanced. Also, I think I understand that now in life, I understand that life is not only about receiving with an open heart, but also letting go of things that you like don't need. And I think that helps create a balance, because it's about receiving something new and also but letting go of things, and which could be emotions, anger, anything that, right? Plus, I have a lot of hobbies. I pursued like too many things. I play the piano. I'm French, karaoke, reading, and all these things give me a lot of happiness. So I know from this, I'm sure it sounds like I love myself and I'm my first priority, but that is the truth. I love myself, and I think that self-love is very important. I take care of myself so that I can do what I can do.
Not just receiving, but letting go. That was nice.
Yeah.
Deepali.
Yeah, to Vandana's point, I'm a very big believer in creating happy habits with discipline. And these small things you do everything, if it becomes a habit, it has such a large impact. And for mental well-being, what I live by is I close the day well. So no matter how the day went, sometimes they're easy days and sometimes they're stressful or out of control days. I will end it well, right? So I'll do what I enjoy. So I love music. I love a good meal like nobody else. So I will every single day, even if it's ended late, it will end with a very good meal. If it's not at home, I will order it. But that's what I do. And there will be music. So you know what? Otherwise, for many years ago, I had a sleeping problem. What happened during the day, it festered in my mind at night. It would manifest into something else, right? So that's when I started making this small change. That the day has to end well with something I enjoy, and it really has transformed how it is. So a good sleep, to what Vandana said, actually I made it my priority, and for that I realized that what I need is to let go of the day, close it well, and next day is a next day. Once somebody had said "Raat gayi, baat gayi," so that's a very good thing to live by
Very
for
profound.
well-being. The next day when it comes, we'll deal with it when it does. But a good sleep with a good meal, ending with the music, that's what happens every day at my home, and it helps. And one more thing, if I can take 2 minutes, something that has helped us as a team, which we started in a Mumbai studio. Every day we started with sharing. So we do this small practice and we keep it very small, simply because it's more sustainable if you keep it small and meaningful rather than a big bang approach. And it's almost going to be here now. So as a team, when we do a morning stand up after the usual who's going to do what, etc., right? The last 15 minutes are left for sharing. So we all answer one question: how are you feeling today? Everyone answers that openly. How you feel. So you may say, I'm feeling it's going to be a shitty day, or I love it because weekend is coming, whatever. And after that, we have about 10 to 12 minutes of meditation. One of the team members facilitate, and it's great because earlier it was one, now we have 2, 3 of them. And what a beautiful start to a day. So you feel almost geared for the day, just on this fresh note of the team sharing, just mentally relaxing, and then you think, okay, this day started well, you can take it on. So all kudos to the studio that sustained it, continues to do it, and I find such meaning in my morning joining them. So I think it's just summarizing that it's the small things, if we can inculcate as a habit, that would be my tip.
That's really interesting. And one thing, although all four of you shared your personal, practices, I think one thing that was really loud and clear, that it's important that we make ourselves priority and not expect someone else to do that for ourselves, right? If we focus on ourselves, I think rest of the things we can just put it in place. I think that's my takeaway from everything that you four of you said. Thank you so much. It definitely helps. And one last thing before we conclude. I mean, I really had a wonderful session with four of you. Before we conclude, all of who were listening to us, and especially this is also will be there out pretty soon for others to see as well. So everyone who's listening to you, especially today's workforce, Gen Z, Gen Y, whatever combination that is working in our respective organization or anywhere. What is your advice, with respect to the overall well-being of them? All yours.
I could be the most controversial amongst a lot. So yeah, why don't I
Go
start
for
with
it.
that?
Go for it, Sameer.
No, so I think my biggest advice to people, and as I said, it's controversial to a very large extent, is come back to work. Physically come back to work is my it doesn't I think it makes a huge difference, not just from a company point of view. I think from an individual point of view, I have seen the transformation of individuals in showbiz as an organization when they've been back to work. There's been resistance from everybody because of multiple things. It could be because of the health. It could be because of the pandemic. It could be because of the worry, the scare, the taking the thing back to elders in the family. There were lots of processes that were there, but I truly believed that when people were physically in the office, their mental health was better than when they were sitting at home. And there might be people who might disagree with me, and there's no chance that I'll get 100% yes, even from people in showbiz who are listening and who will listen in the future. But just as an observation, when I saw people on calls on video, and their enthusiasm, their understanding of things, their empathy towards each other was much less than when they were in here talking to people, being there with each other, understanding, because a lot of body language comes into play, right? I mean, mental health transforms to body language. How you're feeling naturally comes out on how you're walking, talking. It's very difficult to figure that out on a video call. At the end of videos are off. Somebody's not in a good mood. Aaj internet barabar nahi hai, so let's put the video off. But you don't know what's happening. When the person is in front of you, that's a huge difference. So, as I said, controversial, but what I would tell, not just the young generation, but everybody else, you need to be physically back in office. Is it 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, depending on your organization, your agency, your this. But I think that makes a huge difference on how you will behave about your own self, and how you will treat each other through this process, and understand that other person's well-being. So yeah, that's my take.
My advice would be on one thing, that everybody know that possibly we are all WIP, right? So there's no shame attached to it. Don't internalize and don't keep it to yourself. It's just that we are probably at different milestones of reaching some nirvana stage of mental wellness. And if one is aware of that it's possibly all around, right? That awareness itself should remove any taboos around it and start talking. So I would say that be aware that probably most of us are in there at some level or other. That's a starting point.
Good one.
Self-awareness.
No, I just want to say, add to what Deepali and Sameer is saying. Look, my point is that we are faced with a new set of problems. Not only the virus, it's about our life and how we reacted to this. And life has changed completely upside down for everybody on earth, right? The way we talk, the way we behave. For some, it has been about getting closer to families. Because you have been inside your homes for so long, you have discovered new things about your families, our friends. I think because you are in a new set of world, you're setting the new world order in one way or the other. You need to also reorganize yourself to recognize issues which you otherwise thought were avoidable. because it's not the end of problems. Yeah, we are going to face similar or more problems as we come along, whether it's a new virus mutating and keeping us inside, I hope not, or whether a new challenges at workforce, or how do you become, for me, like I always ask myself, how do I become a better father, man, with two kids around, one at, going to be 4 and one going to be 2 now. I always say, how do I become a better father? How do I bring in the same amount of energy and laugh with them when I come back home at night? And they still expect me to be as energetic as I was in the morning. So the best way is talk. The best way is self-realization. The best way is think that you need to be happy first, right? And do take out some time, focus on yourself. It's very important, and don't get lost in what you're doing, or what's your passion. You as a person is more important to be happy at the end of the day, to perform everything that you want to do. So my thing would be that pursue some things. It was great to hear Vandana. She does so many things. In fact, I keep discussing about how I have tried to realign or reorganize and be more disciplined in the mornings, and she has been a great help. Personally, I always talk to her whenever I'm in Bombay that am I doing this. She says you have done everything, but you have not lost weight. That's a separate issue. But
Yeah.
if I have found somebody who I am okay to share my morning videos that I'm doing this, but at least there's a new person I can talk to, right? And about a subject, otherwise I would have not opened up, right? It's about opening up. Whether you're in stress, then I can go to my wife. But what about the good things? Hey, I have inculcated a new habit, and I think I'm very happy about it. I want to share this news with Vandana. Vandana can guide me because she is the master of it and help me. So that's the thing that I've added, and I think I'm very happy adding that to my life. Think about these things. It all adds back to yourself as a person. So that's my advice.
Wow.
That's so sweet.
Cool.
I, 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 I think that personally for me, my biggest learning has been that a healthy body is a prerequisite to a sound mind, and vice versa. So I would keep it short, and I'm saying take care of your body, eat well, exercise, sleep enough. I think you will see a different levels of energies and ability to receive. When you do that. Also, I would say, learn the art of objectivity, like, try and be less emotionally charged, because, try and understand that not everything is personal. I think everybody is here to trying to do their job as well as they can. So not everything is about you, or, so in that sense, so maybe hosh over josh, and that's my mantra, because I think that uh, in the past, I remember being emotionally charged and, getting all hassled about things, and that has not really gone down well for me. And I think this on the other hand works well for me, especially when you're, dealing with so many things at work. And that the moment you're able to kind of, some small things like, let's sleep over it, let's not react right now, let's think about it. I think sometimes when you just do that, you're able to make such sound choices in life, and at work in particular. So those are 2 3 things I think I would say.
And Pratik just added something saying that digital detox on weekends. I think that's a great idea too. Uh, digital detox will really help a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Pratik, for adding that to this. Wow, I honestly, I mean, this was a quite a heavy download of wisdom and experience. Honestly, I'm glad that I was part of the session and got to hear so much perspective. And I'm sure that anyone who were listening us today and who will listen in the future, they will agree with me. So once again, thank you. All of you for being part of this and accepting the invitation. For all those who are watching, please feel free to write to us, to reach out to us if you have any questions, anything that you want to hear about, talk about in the future. And if there is any testimony or any stories of your personal victories, of the challenges that you faced. I think we would all love to hear that, and I'm sure that is going to inspire many. And all of us together, we can do our bit to show that we care, and we are in it together. So until we meet again, remember, be kind to your mind.
Thank you. I just have one
Thank you so
question,
much.
Lindsay. This is going to be put up on, I believe this is going to be up on social media, this video.
It will be on Friday. It will be up on LinkedIn and YouTube and our Instagram handle of Havas Group.
So all of us are going to be social media celebrities by the weekend.
Absolutely. And to increase my TRP, I'm going to show just a snippet of Sameer's controversial line, come back to the work for office. So that's how I'm going to work on my KCDL type of TRP generation. That's one of
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you, everyone. It was lovely to
Thank you.
listen to all of you all. Sameer, Mohit, Manas and Deepali. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for calling us.
Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you.